Welcome to Level 7.
Welcome back to Comicbook.com's New York Comic Con coverage. We are here with head of Marvel TV Jeph Loeb and head of S.H.I.E.L.D. Nice. Yeah, Clark Gregg. How you guys doing? How is the con experience now that you are a couple of years in?
Well, it's been more than a couple of years for me, fortunately or unfortunately. Look, I say it all the time. We're incredibly lucky because we get to do this thing, which is we get to make one of the best television shows out there, in S.H.I.E.L.D. And having, we just came from doing a signing and having hundreds and hundreds of people come by. Some of them crying, some of them nervous, some of them shaking, some of them joyful that they get a chance to be able to see Clark, to see Chloe.
It's because they love Red Hulk. It is.
But I say it all the time whenever I sign, which is because they always want to thank us. And the truth is, I want to thank them because we don't get to do what we get to do unless they do their part. If people aren't watching, if people aren't loving, if people aren't writing well about us, Comicbook.com, then we don't get to do it anymore. They just turn it off. And we live in a world now where that decision is made so quickly and so abruptly that you have to be able to grab them. And one of the things that I'm so incredibly proud of is that we are shooting right now our 50th episode of S.H.I.E.L.D., 5-0. And to be able to do that in today's environment, and for this man to have been there,
many lines.
It speaks to not only the quality of the writing and the quality of the cast and the quality of the incredible crew, but what it really does speak to is the love of the fans and what they've done, and so to be able to come here and say thank you is really the joy of being able to do this.
What he said. What he said. It's what a long, strange trip it's been. I mean, we're both guys who would come to a con even if we didn't do this, and so to come and kind of be supposed to be here and to be one of the things that your pals and comrades are geeking out about is a huge, huge thrill. And as people come up and want to get stuff signed, to have them talking about not just, oh, we're so excited there's Inhumans now and people with powers. No, they really want to, I'm so glad that this has happened with Fitz and Simmons is okay. And oh my gosh, how do you call Sky Daisy now? Like all the original characters that were given birth to, in our first season. And people, what is this? We don't know these characters. To have those be the ones, upon which this has all been built is really rewarding, and I think speaks well of the actors they hired and what Jeff has done and what Jed and Mo and Joss and Jeff Bell and all our amazing writers have done to kind of really evolve the show, and they keep blowing it up and starting over like the plane. And that's a huge accomplishment. I don't think they get enough credit. And our crew that does a freaking effects-driven action comic book movie, half the length of a regular movie, that when we showed it in a movie theater the other night, everyone freaked out. Yeah. If they saw what these shows look like in a movie theater, they do it in 8 days, the shooting of it. It's just insane.
Well, and you spoke to the way that the characters have taken off. Of course, they've crossed over into comics. Coulson's been in animation and video games, and I know you have a lot of fun with that. Does that ever just kind of take you aback for a second that you're a multimedia character?
I just love that you're a bobblehead.
The bobblehead's really the hot toy. I gotta say, Kevin Feige, I think, really lobbied for that. I think the guys at Hot Toys were like, "Wait, you want a hot toy figure of who?" And then they sold a bunch of them. Yes, God bless them. So I've had a number of moments, from the fact when I got to say Strategic Homeland Intervention Enforcement and Logistics Division in the first Iron Man, I had to turn to Jeremy Latcham and go, does that mean what I think it means? And to being brought up on stage and by Joss at last minute and being introduced as part of the cast of the Avengers, to the introduction of S.H.I.E.L.D. and this new team in the pilot, to Nick Fury walking onto the old plane and saying and handing me the magic cube and saying, you're the director of S.H.I.E.L.D. as a kid who read some of these comics, I'm always very grateful to have survived the possible heart attack that comes my way when those things happen. And now honestly, just to have the show have this kind of following and really be clicking the way it is, and have people so excited and us so excited to see what's coming next, and to know a couple of weeks ahead of what people are about to see is pretty thrilling.
So let's talk about this season of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. The premiere this season really kind of hit people in the face. It felt almost mid-season because Daisy's already moving and forming her team, and everything just came so hard and fast. Was that a conscious decision on the creative side to kind of pick up a little down the road and pick up in full stride like that?
Absolutely. I mean, and to give credit where credit's due, to speak to Jed Whedon and Marissa Tancherone and Jeff Bell, look, those guys, along with the incredible writing staff, sat down and basically said, look, we have so much story to tell, and the best thing to do is just jump on, and sometimes it's hard for an audience to jump on a moving train, but by the same token, by introducing it in the world of there's an Inhuman, let's bring him in. He'll ask those questions. He'll say, I don't understand, what's S.H.I.E.L.D., what's happened to me? So that you really feel like you're in the story. And I thought that was an incredibly clever way for us to be able to make people feel like they were coming up on something that was brand new, but at the same token, we're being reintroduced to a concept, which is that S.H.I.E.L.D. is here to protect us. And now it's about, in a world where S.H.I.E.L.D. is here to protect us, is that a good thing? And, if they're making the decisions for people with powers or people without powers, how do we feel about that? And the Marvel Universe always works best when the metaphor is strong. And right now, what's going on around us, there are so many people that are disenfranchised or feel that way or don't know that they fit in or they are a little different. And, let's face it, you can walk around at a New York Comic-Con and there's some people there that look a little different. And yet, when you're here, they seem to really feel like they're part of a family. And so making that happen every Tuesday night at 9 o'clock on ABC, that's awesome. Clearly, someone is breaking through the door and trying to get in here while we're doing this.
Clark, with so many changes that have happened, well, to us, it probably seems rapid. Does it seem rapid to you as far as the changes that Coulson has gone through in just 2 seasons of this journey?
It doesn't feel as rapid to me. I feel every step of it. I joke around about it, I feel like so much of my journey and his journey were definitely very different people in a lot of ways. But, suddenly he was dead in the Avengers, and so was I. And then all of a sudden he had a new team of new inexperienced agents, and everything seemed to be getting out of hand, and then suddenly it was starting to work, and the team was coming together, and that's very much been like my journey, and that each step led to another kind of equal and opposite reaction, from the death of S.H.I.E.L.D. with Winter Soldier, and then rebuilding in the shadows, and suddenly we're kind of a rebel organization, and that seemed really fun, and he had to kind of change who he was and keep secrets from people, which had been how he ended season 1, swearing he never would lead. And to now suddenly be in the middle of this global outbreak, it feels a little bit like parenting a teenager, which I also do, which is you're just juggling a lot of plates, and you adapt to whatever's happening, and suddenly you realize everything's completely different, and you don't quite know how it got that way.
Obviously, Avengers: Age of Ultron was a little more localized and didn't cross into the TV realm quite as much. But it seems on the surface like Captain America: Civil War is going to be another case where this is something that people in S.H.I.E.L.D. and all of these Inhumans are going to be fairly involved in. What can you tease? Give us something, a little tease about how like I said, it seems like a foregone conclusion that with all of these powered individuals involved with S.H.I.E.L.D., there's got to be something there.
Well, both of us, I mean, you probably actually know something. I don't know anything, and I won't know until we get the script right leading up to that, how much it crosses over. But after having seen the way our show in kind of slightly more subtle ways affected Ultron and much more overtly were very, very affected by Captain America, the Winter Soldier, we're doing something on our show that is for our show. It's not there to tee up what's going to happen in Civil War. It's one of the things that's so fun working for Marvel is it's one story. In this world, this is happening now. Part of it has to do with Inhumans. In Civil War, in the comics, it was something a little bit different than this that's connected in a way. And we'll deal with what's going on with our show. I suspect they'll probably intersect in some ways. How much they causally affect each other remains to be seen. But, what you can bank on is if there's a way to have what's happening in that movie cause a huge and dramatic effect on our show in a way that, works, then Marvel's going to do that, and vice versa. How's that, boss?
Yeah, he struggles. The reality is, we know these worlds are connected. We know these things are happening, and let's just leave it with simply this, which is certainly the kinds of themes that we're talking about, which is the responsibility of people that have abilities, enhancements, and who is best determines what happens to those people is something that we're very concerned about on not just this show, but all our shows. It's something that you'll see as something that you sort of feel about what's going on. But that's the nature of Marvel. It isn't a new concept for us. It's just a concept that we're now starting to explore in this world.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much. Real quick, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., after its premiere, jumped up to number 2 on our brand new comic book TV power rankings. Make your case. Why should it go up another spot and be number 1?
I don't know, boss. What do you think? Quake. New Plane, Zephyr 1, Dub Smash Wars. We've got so much going for us.
Best cast, best writing, best crews, best show.